Hello all, welcome to the Literacy Spire Cartoon Fan Podcast. This is episode 289, and today we'll be talking about the finale for Steven Universe Future. I'm GC13.
It's me, Ken.
I'm Isabel.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm David.
Well, it is over, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I've been sadly singing that to myself for a while, but it didn't really hit me until Estelle tweeted about it, and I was like, oh, it really be over. And that was a sinking feeling.
Ugh, yeah, all the cast tweets killed me. Dee Dee was just crying and singing one of the intros, and it just looked truly heartbroken, there was nothing acting about it. And then seeing Rebecca's tweet that no future comics, and if you see anything else Steven Universe related, it's not canon, just felt so crazy final.
Yeah,
that hurt. I was really
Rebecca,
hoping she would try to get a comic made.
Rebecca!
Yes, there's not going to be a comic for the chest. Okay.
The chest!
Before we talk about 4 episodes, so really fast on this chest, because everyone really cares about the chest. Somewhere, I don't remember if it was from Rebecca or if it was from one of the crew members who said the chest was really there to represent or maybe this was just a fan theory. Probably just a fan theory, that the chest really just represents that everything is out in the open now, as far as Rose goes. So, probably in show, yes, there technically would literally be something in the chest. It'd be weird if there was just a locked chest with nothing in it. Unless Rose is just an ultimate troll, which she kind of was. But, it was supposed to be representative, so when we saw that in future, we'd be like, okay, all the secrets are about Rose, and it's more of that, symbolic thing. / I guess, trolling us with the forever... there's not ever an answer for everything in Steven Universe.
So basically, the chest was the friends we made along the way.
I mean, it could represent the literal Pandora's box that was Rose's secrets. But, dang, I wanted to know, man. Steven Universe has been just the king of giving you little hints in the background and then not answering it for 3 seasons.
Yeah. Well, there's been plenty of those. I mean, there's so many I'm surprised fans aren't talking about, the fusion statue that we saw at the bottom of the Homeworld kindergarten, right? We never got answers to those types of things. And even, really broad things that weren't, specific background details, but just, why were the gems conquestors? And why did Yellow really want to fuse a bunch of things together into a giant monster just to fight, adorable plant creatures on planets where the Lapises were? There's a lot of sublime nature to it all, that I guess we're just supposed to not know.
What about the actual, creation of the diamonds? How did they happen?
Yeah, I am very curious about that.
Yeah, well, even just, we're given the hint that, Pink is younger than everyone else, right? But we never really dig into that story of why Pink came later. So there's definitely this, nature of, we expect shows to, give us answers. But I think it really, in Steven Universe's case, is meant to give you that, because the show was always from Steven's perspective, we are truly put in that position of there is a much greater world happening, and just all those details are meant to, pique your interest, but ultimately you're like Steven, and, you didn't get to ask follow-up questions, so.
Oh, man. But then he went on his, conquest to find more of Rose's information and Rose's past and uncover it. And I guess he's now over that phase and is back to never asking follow-up questions.
I mean, he literally drove in reverse at the end of the series to ask his most important follow-up question. I don't know what more you want from him. So.
Yeah, in that weird CGI car. Did they really have to 3D animate the car? That was so jarring. That's the biggest critique, beyond the chest and all that. Why did they 3D animate the car? It totally took me out of the moment.
Yeah, they could have spent the money there. I agree. For the finale.
Yeah, I don't know. Vehicles are always given that for some reason. And it had been 3D animated in the other episodes that appeared, so yeah, I don't know why the Dondai. It's not a super complex geometrical shape.
Yeah, I know. And, it didn't do super complex motions or movements. Right? I understand if the car is, rotating from the camera. That's pretty hard to animate. But it just, goes forward and then goes backwards.
Either that or you think it was
shot
CG.
Where it stopped.
It could have been James Baxter. I mean, did we look in the credits? You're like, oh wow, this crazy, smooth, beautiful car.
No, I don't
It could have been James coming on one last time.
No.
No?
Don't insult him like this.
Wouldn't draw a super cool car? Okay,
It doesn't even have an outline. It's so out of place.
It's so obviously.
It looks like someone took like a little paper cutout of a car and put it in the show.
Okay.
Like South Park style.
Is that critique that I don't even remember it standing out that much. Now I need to go back. This is like serious. This is a serious critique. Oh my goodness.
These are serious accusations, Sophie. I didn't like the car. Everything else I absolutely loved. It was weird that they released the first episode of the 4-part series like 5 days early.
Well, it was supposed to be at the video showing that they were having, the movie screening of the sing-along. Mm-hmm. But since they couldn't do that, they put it up on the app instead. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed getting to see this early because, I mean, the theaters it got screened in, that wasn't going to happen in my city. So I was happy to see Homeworld Bound early. And, it was our last kind of look into the Diamonds' lives and really fascinating. And I was really pleasantly surprised by the diamond power reversals because we'd already been presented with that idea with Pink, who had obviously gone from destructive powers to healing powers, but I hadn't really thought about it that way, that they reversed, just that they had both present all the time. And it was kind of cool to see that. Obviously, they all had very interesting consequences in the episode.
Yeah, they all seem to be doing really well.
The thing I noticed is that if White is able to run around and be happy about giving little gems a voice, nobody seems to hold a grudge against the Diamonds for anything. Otherwise, she would be a lot more upset about what she was doing.
Well, I think if they did hold a grudge, they wouldn't be on Homeworld. Because there's,
she's going to other planets, she's saying.
Just hide in the cave until she leaves. But it's so scary how overpowered the Diamonds are. There's no hope of ever being able to resist them if they choose to use force. Or if you want to use force against them, there's no way. So if you hated the Diamonds and resented them, that's a battle you're just gonna have to throw the towel in. Because there's nothing you can do.
Well,
they can change you forever, permanently, on a whim.
We've seen that the gems are not exactly quick to change anyway. So, I mean, even the tours that were being given, they were talking about the palace and everything in a very, dreamy light instead of, for what it actually was, like this terrible dictatorship, monarchy, oligarchy, whatever. But yeah, so I mean, we always questioned, how did Steven feel about the Diamonds and the fact that the gems also seemed to just be tolerating it. Yeah, there was a lot of interesting discussion about Steven. A lot of one of the interviews that had happened with Rebecca Sugar during this finale ending was covering, how Rebecca felt that it was obvious that Steven never really aired that he had forgiven the Diamonds in any way, and I think that's more obvious now when you look back at the movie and obviously look at this finale.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to think that he forgave them, and that's kind of another facet to these deep internal problems that piled up with him. He wants to think that he's this god figure that is all good and all knowing and perfect, and he holds himself to that standard because he thinks other people are, even if they necessarily aren't. And to him, forgiving the Diamonds is part of that idea of himself. And of course he couldn't do it, and why should he? They did terrible things to him.
Such awful things.
such awful things, right? He's not required to forgive them for the things that they did, and he's not required to, try and spend time with them if it really hurts him. And he had to accept that. He had to accept that, negative feelings are normal, right? Because Greg said it's okay to feel petty. You're allowed to have feelings. Right, it's whether or not you enact upon those petty feelings, and if you always shove them down, you're going to be enacting on them subconsciously without realizing it, which is no good either.
Yeah, that scene with when White is projecting him is still confusing to me. From what I understand, based on what he says later, that was just his thoughts. That was him fantasizing about doing that. But if that was just him fantasizing about shattering her, then how come he actually hit his head into the pillar? he was moving
Right.
at the time.
No, it was real. He absolutely would have. It's just, I don't really understand how the switcheroo happened, but yeah, his intent was definitely that.
Well, I think it's like, it's not just like you're puppeteering White, like you are put inside of like White's head. Like you can see through her eyes, right? It's not just that, you know, you have this big thing copying your every movement. Like you can feel like a diamond standing up that tall. And Steven suddenly had like this double perspective and saw himself really tall, so he saw himself looking down at this puny little thing and imagined it to be White, even though it was him, and hence the switcheroo.
So White was projecting him onto herself, and then he projected her onto himself.
Yeah, and then he kind of fantasized that his body was White's body, and the size difference was switched.
That checks out.
I kind of got that.
No, I agree with that, yeah.
But that was the voice acting, Zach Callison, especially now since he's able to use his lower register.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
He's really been knocking it out of the park this entire, series. It's been really, really good.
So, I mean, everyone kind of went crazy for the Blue Diamond song. It didn't really do much for me the first time. It was a lot more enjoyable the second time, though.
Well, I mean, her voice is amazing.
She's just so sweet.
Seeing White Diamond make that face after taking on Spinel,
Yes.
kind of
Okay, after the literal, the memes, for all the hiatuses we went through, and at least on the Reddit side of Steven Universe, the fan art of replacing, every character with every other character's, face, that had happened for, every permutation. I've seen, Lion as Onion and Greg as White Diamond, all those permutations. And, I swear that came to the show with Spinel and White Diamond.
I've seen the memes where it's Caramel Dancing playing to the color changes.
I like it.
Please tell me you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Ooh, ooh,
Who
ooh,
hasn't
wow,
heard
wow.
Caramel
That
Dancing?
one! And it's White Diamond or Steven face down on the floor. With Caramel Dancing and the colors changing. Oh, I love that meme so much. It's such a quarantine mood.
Well, yeah, because Mackenzie Atwood also made one, but it was just following up with a little Larimar, who just takes over White Diamond. And does it really make sense why that's way funny to me? No, but
no, it was really good.
Hilarious.
Oh.
Well, especially because it followed up on the previous meme where Larimar is like, "I want to be big, I am baby," and then they become big. So
Yeah, but I don't think any meme can truly encapsulate how unsettling White's face was in that in that shot.
Yeah,
why
really
did she have to make that face specifically? I hated it. I mean, I loved it, but I hated it so much. Oh man. Oh yeah, with a character like White, that's such a huge juxtaposition to see her act like Spinel.
I thought it was weird to see Spinel move with the more limited standard episode animation. I guess she just moves so fluidly in the movie because the budget's a little bit higher that when you see her here, the animation in the show is very good, so it's not a complaint or anything, but it's in comparison it's very strange.
Right, they couldn't have her rubber banding everywhere. They did with her intro, the way the hearts happened popping out of her eyes and everything was very cute, and then she had a lot of really Sonic-y moves this episode.
Oh, yes.
I liked
the tails thing, and
I liked what they did with her. I liked how, she's talking to her pupils to do the weird inertia thing. I was pretty satisfied with, cause I knew I saw Spinel and I'm like, oh, there's gonna be a dip in animation and she's not gonna be expressive, but she was totally I was completely happy with the way that she was animated.
Well, and her in-show theme, that music, having that mixture of her pies, that was really fun.
I was just happy to see Spinel again.
Talking of things we needed answered in the show, I guess Yellow Diamond kind of dropped for us that, the cluster will get healed eventually. And also, I guess every gem in the entire universe will probably be healed. And if there's any shattered gems or, not corrupted, but experiment gems anywhere, just everybody's going to be whole again. That's kind of nice.
Well, that kind of brings up a question. I wonder if the cluster will even want to be separated or if they've sort of found a comfort in their conjoined identity and they'll just extract the cluster and let them have a physical form as a satellite orbiting the Earth or something. And just, I don't know.
I feel like it's bigger than the Earth when it forms.
Is it?
Maybe
yeah.
not.
Okay.
I mean, it's not in the art book, but
The cluster needs to become its own planet for gems to settle. It'd be the ultimate gem world.
That's kind of weird.
Except it's all like tendony and horrifying. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, God, this
It can
like
alter its
horrible,
physical form.
this
Limbs
horrible,
popping
like,
out everywhere. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like
I don't know. I think it'd be cool.
skins,
Somebody should do a comic graphic novel with that.
like the flayed man, and it just orbits Jupiter, and you can like beam it TV shows, and you just have this. Oh no, you have a massive projector, right? That projects onto the surface of Jupiter, and they watch Cookie Cat. I don't know.
Camp Pinning
That
Hearts,
sounds
new
like a-
generation, obviously.
That sounds like a pretty dope future.
Yeah, minus the like horribly millions of shattered fragments of dead people for, you know, eons have been, you know,
Well, that's
forced together.
that's if they don't want to be separated.
Yeah. So Yellow Diamond's kind of, you know, they're all really nice now, but for some reason, like, Yellow is really doing the best thing possible to resolve what she did in the past. White is like, okay, you know, Blue, like, drugs? Question mark?
Right?
Was that a good lesson? Like, Steven called that out, and like, I don't know, like, Blue, that's not a great, I mean, her power was already, like, the least damaging, but her resolution is, like, also bad?
I don't know, like, okay. I think one of the lessons that this show likes to say is that not to underestimate the impact of emotional damage. And I know, as having an education in psychology, that there is this sort of therapy that they do where they essentially, like, turn off your fear response and make you relive your traumatic memories so that you can relive them without fear being, like, incorporated in that. And it helps you process it and kind of get over PTSD, or at least reduce the symptoms.
Basically, you rewrite the memory so that you're not afraid at the time that
Yes.
you remember it.
Right? And you do that a couple times with a couple repetitions, and it allows you to process what you've been through without feeling like you're in the situation, fear-wise. Right? It's the same thing that, you know, Steven, like, reliving normal situations that are stressful and remotely remind you of the life and death situations you've been in will provoke a life and death response. So you want to essentially turn off your fight or flight to be able to process, you know, your problems and not kind of be hijacked by your fear. And that is a psychotherapy treatment that they do. So maybe that's what Blue's doing. And I'm reading way more into this.
Right, I mean, if Blue said, and now let's think about your traumatic experiences, maybe. But all she said was, yo, just, you know, hang out on these clouds for as long as you want. Which, you know, maybe that's fine, though. And maybe it's fine to even erase, as long as it's like a choice, right? Like, I feel like in that situation, Steven felt kind of like forced onto a cloud. Like, maybe it's okay if you do just want to feel joyous to go hang out on clouds for a while, but he was kind of like being told to what felt like ignore his problem.
Yeah. I mean,
is
it's
not
like,
what he needed
it's
at that point.
recreational drug use versus substance abuse.
Right,
sort of.
right.
So if you're just using
Cherry
it
Quartz
to...
and Aquamarine.
Dude, I love our dropout Cherry Quartz.
Cherry
No, she was back at Little
Maybe
Homeworld
that's
the
what
next
she-
day.
Maybe that's what Cherry Quartz was on. She was on some of that blue huff.
Yeah, so she just took a field trip up to Big Homeworld, but she went right back to Little Homeworld the next day.
Oh, God.
Thinking of Cherry Quartz, though, I was kind of disappointed that Yellow Diamond also threw in, oh, and I can heal any of the horns of any of those quartzes if they want it. I was kind of like, you know, I really liked that damage was there, so it's kind of weird for them to announce, like, anything can be undone, but, you know, I guess, what show am I watching? I'm watching Steven Universe, and everything should turn out happier, I guess, so...
Yellow's punching in that code Lyoko.
No, it seems kind of like against the show's sort of message. Like, bad things, you don't want to pretend they didn't happen, right? You just want to, you know, embrace the person that you are now and the person you became. So completely removing their horns, you know, I kind of didn't like, and I'm also, horns are cool.
Right, the horns are cool. But even, like, Jasper just got the, like, new, you know, deformity in the already, like, scar thing she had on her face after being shattered, and, like, the notion that can just be erased whenever Jasper feels like talking to Yellow is a little weird, but it's fine,
Yeah, but would Jasper ever talk to Yellow without, like, I don't know, fangirling?
Right. I mean, well, I guess, I don't know, who's she more devoted to now?
Also, shout out to Jasper's redemption arc, where she is no less evil, she just has zero outlet for her evilness, except punching holes through walls, and just, like, angrily sulks throughout Little Homeworld, wishing she could be evil. Probably, like, leaving the toilet seat up is the most that she can really do and get away with. She doesn't understand why humans don't like it, but she knows that they don't like it. So she does it wherever she can.
No, I'll tell you what Jasper does. Jasper waits for you to leave a room, and then she goes back in and she turns the light back on.
She does hate the Earth.
Yeah, that's her campaign to flood the oceans.
Whenever she overhears, like, two humans arguing about something, she's like, oh, humans hate this? And will just start doing it out of her way, even if it's completely minor and irrelevant. Because she can get away with it. If she does anything more evil, she's gonna be made to stop.
Jasper got a job just so she could buy chewing gum and leave it under park benches.
Right? Like, one person, accidentally touched it with their hand, and they're like, God, I hate when people do that. And Jasper's like, rubbing her chin, thinking, she can't steal, she'll get in trouble for that, but the gum.
Did you know that Jasper bought a house in Beach City? She mows her lawn every Saturday morning at 7
That's really good. I really like that.
Jasper is just a nuisance, and that's the best she can do for being evil now, is this very Steven Universe-y. So speaking of someone who also feels like they can just get away with anything but that it's troubling them, everything's fine. Steven's breakdown is
oh boy,
really interesting here because it also felt like there was a ton of Pink Diamond subtext here where it felt like this is the exact journey that also Pink had. Like when Steven broke down at the end right there, I swore for a moment that was like Pink talking as well. With the whole like, I can get away with anything and just fix it and I'm running away from my problems all the time. It was like Pink Diamond was there without them ever saying it, but also it was very much Steven's moment as well. And that really brought to light like everything that we had experienced lurking in the background with Steven, but he finally put words to it and it was super scary. And all of the Gem's reaction was also really
I mean, he
crazy.
very clearly did not want to be anything like the Diamonds, let alone his mom. So he saw himself in the mirror and he sees his own diamond pupils and is like, no. He understands immediately, like, this is my pink diamond, like, gem physical form kind of pushing through. Maybe not necessarily, like, her spirit or thoughts or emotions, like, Pink Diamond is gone, but, like, I guess the framework to make that physical form, which is, why he resembles Pink at all. That framework
that hair
is pushing
floof.
Yeah. It's like if suddenly, like, your mom's DNA, like, took over. Right? And you, like, cause if Greg's DNA takes over, he's just gonna look like Greg. Right? And he's not gonna have any powers.
You mean?
But if his mom's DNA takes over, he's gonna be more like, the quote-unquote original Pink Diamond. Physically wise, not necessarily personality wise.
You know what's terrifying about his diamond powers? Like, you saw how lightly he tapped that anvil and he broke it in half, whereas Bismuth, really strong gem, hammers on that thing as hard as she wants, does nothing to it. Our boy is strong.
Steven's powers are crazy in this because it always seemed like Pink Diamond had way more powers than any of the other diamonds. Like, the other diamonds were shown to be powerful in Homeworld Bound, but, I mean, Rose had some crazy powers. The whole speed motion thing, like slow-mo thing, seemed like crazy abusable, and along with the fact that you can just create pocket dimensions in any dead being, that you find lying around, and like,
Yeah, I mean, Steven's effectively a god. And I kind of wish they had just explored that a little bit more, that he just gets to be a god for the rest of his life. His immortal life, most likely. Like, I don't know.
But he's tortured by that, too. I really, really like that Steven was, like, recognized that healing power was, like, actually a huge burden on his mind. That he, is like, I am stuck in this cycle of breaking things and healing things. But it's, like, irresponsible. Like, other people, when they have problems, they can't just magically fix them. But I have somehow been able to, whether it's literally with healing powers or for some reason, all of these people that try to kill me then become nice to me is actually like this burden that's been building up in the whole show. That is just so crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, imagine Steven fighting Spinel after he'd unlocked these new powers. Like, there would not have been competition at all.
She'd be a smear on the side of the hill.
Right? Yeah, because he has this, like, telekinetic blast where he can destroy things without even touching them. So, that drill could have come down and he could have immediately just busted it open without even thinking about it. Right? So it wasn't necessarily that he put the force through the hammer to crack the anvil. He probably, like, just blasted a wave of force telekinetically, because he's been doing that.
But you know what? I had two favorite moments in this episode. The first, chronologically, is Yellow Pearl in that amazing armor.
Oh,
very good.
She looks so swag.
It's what we've all wanted.
Bismuth was making a wedding suit of armor on a Pearl.
Ever since Pearl has been on the show, people have been drawing her in armor as a knight. Mm-hmm. And it's only been getting more and more popular. So we got something, which I'm happy for.
But at the second thing chronologically was when the helper Stephen plant, we're helping!
Yeah, those were hilarious. And I guess all those plant creatures that Steven has ever created just also roamed the world forever.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well.
Making their own civilizations.
I mean, they also are shown to be very disposable and will die.
Well, but the watermelon Steven's preserved, and as cactuses are, as Garnet said, Earth's hardiest creatures, those things surely could form their own little crazy island.
Yeah, but if someone went up to the island and, genocided all the watermelons, it would at most be a mild sadness. Right. Because
in show, yes, their lives are devalued for some reason. Yes.
Yeah, their lives have no value. The show is constantly
never made sense.
Brutally
Steven
showing
ate
them.
one of them.
He ate one of them.
It's what Baby Melon would have wanted, though.
He did not! He did not want to be eaten! Oh my goodness.
That's the best thing that the crew has ever done outside of the show is confirm that Pumpkin died.
Wait, no, but Pumpkin, there was another Pumpkin in the final episode.
It's her kids!
This
Yeah,
is
maybe
Pumpkin's
Pumpkin
kid.
had
That
kids.
Pumpkin's dead. Oh my god. And I'm just thinking of what pumpkins look like after they've been out for a while and it's been kind of hot out.
Okay, okay.
Sagging, deflating. Did they have to put her down? What happened?
Oh my
so
God.
brutal
No.
what they do to these plant animals, and I actually kind of really love it. Oh man.
So it's nice to see that Pink Pearl's doing okay, and we didn't see her crack.
We didn't see her eye. Her eye was deliberately obscured,
That was
and I'm
interesting.
mad about that.
People
did they do
were
that?
posting stills. They were able to find screenshots where you could see a little bit behind it, and it looks like she
Yeah.
is still damaged.
Yeah, which
Okay.
I almost questioned if that crack. I was like, they
I
so
don't think that was-
purposefully obscured her eye that I almost wonder if them drawing a crack there was an accident, just oh, I'm drawing from the model sheet, but I'm somebody
Yeah.
animating the show, and I just drew the crack there without realizing it. Although you'd think they would draw a note for that.
I
No.
don't think that was intentional. I do think that it was just reusing a model sheet or something.
Yellow could easily fix it. Clearly.
Right, which
Yeah.
is weird.
Well,
Also,
no,
Yellow
no,
could
no,
have
no,
fixed
no,
it at any
because
point, which is
she
also
could
strange.
she could not fix Steven's corrupted form, which is what they called it, because he absolutely
He was fighting back.
refused to be changed or healed in any way. And it might be because he's a diamond and super powerful, but I feel like if a gem is so strongly and psychologically tied to an identity, a physical identity, you won't really be able to change it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Steven's healing powers worked on corrupted gems, but didn't work on Pink Pearl's eye, so there might be something to that. And those are diamond powers, so Yellow might be equally ineffective.
Well, I don't think the corrupted gems wanted to be corrupted. I just think they didn't know how to be normal because their minds were addled.
Well, right. They didn't want to be
Mhm.
corrupted, and that's why Steven was able to have any effect on them, because it was purely a type of physical damage to their gem.
Yeah, like a what do they call it? Like an organic brain disease, where it's a non-psychological issue with your brain functions and behavior. So, schizophrenia versus PTSD or something like that.
But I do wonder, though, what White saw when she looked into Kaiju Steven's mind.
Oh, it's the one comic where it's like, oh, I'm now going to read into your mind. And it's like, why is it screaming all the time? It's like, welcome to my world. That was very good. I like that.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Poor Steven. He's,
Yeah, I am my monster. So, I mean, it goes from that one crazy, shocking end scene and everything's fine, where just stuff is busting out of his back.
Dude, imagine having to wait a week.
Oof.
Imagine if they didn't air back to back. Imagine if you had to wait a week after that.
That would have been one of the wildest hiatuses.
You would have tuned in, though.
Congrats on the fandom for predicting that the monster in the intro was Corrupt Steven, because I didn't believe any of them. Right? And I was like, nah, you guys are full of it. That's not Corrupt Steven. How are they going to even deal with that? And it turns out it was. So you know what? I can hand it off.
It became more and more likely the more and more his life sucked over the course of the series.
Yeah, well, and the fact that every, quote, villain reveal kept being either one of Steven's... Well, they were basically all Steven's personal problems, except for the Lapises and Bluebird, who... I mean, I guess both of those were just kind of side, but pretty much everything else kept being apparently of Steven's own thing. So after we had the pink white diamond in the intro, then in my mind, one episode before I was like, oh yeah, theory confirmed. So, I was way ahead of the game, but still.
Well, I was thinking, I didn't even make that connection until after. I'm like, okay, so that's the corrupted Steven, then what about the white diamond fusion? And it's like, oh, it's not the fusion, it's Steven's projection on the white diamond.
Yeah. Which turned out to be much darker than any of us could have expected.
I liked it.
That monster design alone was just...
It was really cool, I loved it.
Crazy cool.
Yeah. Like an orc Godzilla or something.
A Tarask.
A what?
I don't know how to pronounce it. D&D super high level epic monster.
How do you spell that?
Tarrasque.
Oh, I would never have spelled that right. I mean a little bit. Like the snout's too long. That's why I said like an orc.
Still, a lot of people are comparing the two of them.
Like a pug.
I do agree with them that it's maybe an inspiration. Who knows?
He looked cool as heck. I wonder, like, if he has to feel like a monster inside to turn into that, or if he can, like, now do it to just do Godzilla
We're already
things.
hoping.
I don't know.
Hey, what if Steven could control this power? What if we can harness it,
Well, what if they needed to, like, suddenly lift up a building that fell during an earthquake to save the people trapped inside?
Right.
Like, that would be cool. Or what if he needed to, like,
Very likely.
I don't know.
No, but, like...
It's... wasted
Sophia.
potential.
There's an Earth Kingdom general who made the mistake you were in the process of making.
Yes!
His mistakes.
Yes, there was a whole episode, the first episode of season 2.
No, but she's right. Like, it's actually very important that Steven learned to control these powers. Like, in addition to just the emotions he has generally, like the additional burden of knowing that if he does not control his powers effectively, he would kill tens of thousands of people.
Well, was he, like, about to go on a rampage and kill people? Because it looked like he was just sort of crying
Moping?
and wanting to tear apart the temple or something. Like, it didn't look like Monster Steven was really wanting to go on a full rampage. Like, he was more just, I don't know, upset.
The problem is, it's really hard to tell the difference between that guy going on a rampage and going on a walk.
Good point. I mean, if you went to the ocean.
Fair enough. Oh, speaking of the ocean, how is it that deep, that close to shore?
I mean, oceans have a drop-off somewhere close to the shore.
I mean,
I feel like that happened with Bubble Buddies, right? They were pretty far underneath the ocean.
It depends on what the plate boundaries are by your coastline. If you have a subduction plate boundary...
They never get earthquakes in Beach City, though.
Look, it's alternate Earth, though. Like, they only got 39 states. Florida's an island. We don't know how their oceans work. Do they even have tectonic plates? Anything could happen there.
No, yeah, they do, because they have a molten core.
That's
No,
true.
they have a cluster.
Well, okay, actually, to be fair, though, the way that it became... I feel like they did not dig that far into the crust before they hit molten Earth, so... I don't know. Their Earth might be
It took
different.
a while to hit the mantle. They weren't digging that quickly.
So, I am a monster. What actually did happen in this episode besides Steven turning into a monster? Because that took up a lot of space.
I do want to tell you, it was the ultimate Steven Universe problem-solving method. You had to hug it out.
Well, yeah, giant garnet. Man, that was a really tender moment. And also hearing the
Can
way
we
all
not
of the
keep
gems...
giant garnet? For at least
Yeah,
the
why did
weekend?
we make garnet small again? Yeah.
I actually like giant garnet. Although it'd be kind of hard for her to teach her yoga classes.
She'd have to do video yoga.
And what would happen if she unfused? Oh man, what happened if she unfused this giant garnet? Would it be like two giant ruby and
I can just
sapphires?
imagine giant ruby. That would be the most adorable
or
thing.
just giant ruby and tiny sapphire? Like,
Ooh.
Wait, quick limits of their power. I mean, how big can Yellow Diamond make gems? Because I thought, based on like Amethyst Gem, when she tried shape-shifting into something larger, there was like a limit. But seemingly Yellow can just provide more energy to their gems. But like, can that just keep happening? Can you just be as big as you want at all?
I don't know. I think it's like another thing tied into like the gems idea of who they are, and if it strongly conflicts with their physical form, it's not going to be sustainable. Maybe if Garnet was poofed and she reformed, she would go back to at least a smaller size.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my thing.
I don't know. The mechanics of it are interesting. Also, Rebecca Sugar in some interview recently called the gems solar-powered robots, so that's been on my mind.
Oh, so they are solar powered. Okay.
Yeah, what does that even mean, though?
Yeah, they need light.
Well, they are light, but we thought that their gems were just like infinite energy machines or something.
Yeah, which I... Because remember Pearl was like, oh, well, we get all our energy from our gems. And I'm like, where does that energy come from, Pearl?
Apparently the sun, but we never saw
life
anything that
force they
confirms that.
siphon from planets.
I mean, they can't really be solar powered though, because the off-colors
No.
were living underground forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be
they're not
some
solar
level
powered.
of, like, they can siphon heat.
I think what she meant by solar powered is she meant that they don't need to go and connect to a power source.
They are light powered themselves.
You can't hide the battery charger and hope that they'll run out of charge eventually, because they'll just get juiced by the sun, or in this case, by their gem.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I mean, they can, like, pass out from overexertion, which we've seen a couple times. We even saw it in this finale, how gems can be momentarily knocked out or just become overtired, right? Like, they can't just produce infinite energy at any rate they desire. Like, there is a limit to how much energy they can produce at a given time and can run out for a duration, which I liked. I like there to be a little bit of a...
They gotta have limits, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good grief. There were so many callbacks in this finale, though. Like the callback to Connie's speech in the new Crystal Gems. They did Steven's workout routine from Future Vision, even ended it the same way.
That radio...
Smashing the boombox.
Yeah, I love that song. That was a fantastic callback.
Amethyst probably has like 50, so it's...
I mean, she
Why
can
not?
be a boombox herself, so there's no
That's
problem.
a good point. That's no small feat. You don't need a lot of precision to operate those
Yeah,
lasers.
full electronics that she develops.
And we do finally have proof in show that Ronaldo and Jane got back together.
Who?
Ronaldo
Jane!
and his girlfriend.
They both like
The ticket girl from Lion 2.
Yeah.
I systematically repressed every Ronaldo episode, and I do
They
not
had bonded
know
over, what, Koala
at all
Princess?
what you were talking about. Koala Princess. Oh no, that's starting to ring a bell. I put so much work into repressing those memories. Stop it.
No, Koala Princess is great. There's even like a whole OKKO episode with Koala Princess.
Yeah.
Something good came
Koala
of
Princess
Ronaldo.
is an actual character in OKKO.
I want to know what Petey looks like.
He's taller, unlike Onion.
Yeah.
Onion is eternal.
I don't know, maybe... That's really weird. I don't know about Onion.
Onion also is now the new keeper of the cheeseburger backpack. Is this too great a power for one so dark to wield? Find out next in Onion Universe.
Yeah, so I guess going on to the future now, they took a whole episode to decompress, which was nice, and actually was very much like OKKO in that regard, where actually the shows had a really similar trajectory. I saw someone had tweeted about pointing out the similarities in those shows, and I was like, oh yeah, KO kind of corrupted at the end, and then they took an episode to like look back, and I appreciated the same chance here to just kind of touch base, and the fact that Steven really, really wanted to see the gems, react.
Mm-hmm.
That was a sweet plot line.
So, the Cookie Cats. We have gone full circle.
Yes, people wanted that so bad.
Whoever animated Pearl,
Her
or
arms!
storyboarded Pearl, her face, I owe them my life. That was so amazing. Oh.
You know how I said a few episodes ago there are times when I don't hear Pearl, I hear Dee Dee? I heard Dee Dee having the time of her life doing that Cookie Cat rap.
Well, yeah, that's Pearl's rap career, like, full circle, right?
Man, I hate rapping for Pearl. I did not like that.
Wait, yeah, I mean, have you guys all seen the, like,
She's
the whole
so
Pearl secret rap
adorable,
career?
though.
Yes, MK
Yeah.
Atwood's, like,
Yeah.
Round
entire
and round, let the
digital
city
career.
turn. I love that.
Honestly,
song.
I'm surprised they didn't just bring back Round and Round. The song, here. Party in the hills, we can party in the burbs. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's a lot of cute little details that happen in this. I like that Greg finally gets a bed. Seems like it'd been a long
With
time
a
since
Carrie
he had
Moonbeams poster.
one. Yeah.
Oh, Petey is visible outside of the big donut as Steven drives away and the town is waving him off. He is still wearing his sandals and he's still missing his tooth.
Well, was he going to grow a new tooth? Oh, was that supposed to be like a kid's tooth gone? Maybe
Yes,
there's a
he was
gap.
supposed to be like 8 or something. I guess that wasn't. I guess that was his big kid tooth that he lost. Because he's still missing it. And he's got like a cool jacket. Although he's still wearing his like yellow Crocs. I don't know about that. buddy.
Yeah.
Questionable stylish choice.
Questionable. They match his dad's yellow whatevers. So.
Oh, also, Steven has a therapist. He finally got
Yes.
therapy.
Oh
Yes!
my god. Steven's endgame, literal endgame, was him and a therapist. So, I'm so happy for him.
I wonder exactly how many months it was. They don't give an exact date, they just say few
They said
months,
like 3
don't they?
months. Like,
I heard
didn't they
these
say
past
3?
few months. I don't remember hearing
Oh,
any
I heard
specific
these
number.
past 3 months.
Well, we could dig into the transcripts.
Well, let me see if there's a transcript.
But,
Probably not yet, but
yeah, it was kind of interesting that they placed the episode after some amount of time, and I like the idea of a road trip. Rebecca had also kind of talked about that it just sort of generally was meant to, like, the whole series of future, and like from the intro and then to all the credits having the car constantly moving was supposed to give you this feeling of like momentum and moving on. And so Rebecca's recommendation wasn't for everybody to go specifically take a road trip if you're having
Yeah, bad
issues,
timing.
but yeah, this is not the time necessarily right now to go on a road trip.
Not now.
But but like just that idea that whatever is good for you, whatever helps you, progress, you should try it out.
I want to know how Steven honestly thinks that just by a brief road trip tour that probably takes no more than a couple of months, is he going to know, oh, I want to settle down here? You're not going to know an area just by driving through it for a day.
Well, I mean, like, he can drive through for a day and be like, oh, this place is neat, stay there for a week, right? Oh, this place is really neat. Or it's like, oh man, I'm gonna put a pin in this and come back to it once I'm done. He's got, like, infinite money and infinite time.
He does.
So,
Yeah.
he can kind of do whatever he wants.
He's gonna go the Greg route, right? Like, Greg was just going around places, and Greg eventually settled down somewhere just kind of naturally, and Steven will do the same thing, I guess. That's his plan.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, road trips have been very healing. I don't know. Like, there's just something about being transient that really, like, put me at peace, personally. I don't know if it is with other people, but, like, going on a road trip, that sounds great right about now. Man, I wish I could do that. Because, gosh, darn it, we all got the time.
Yeah.
That was fun. I want to see what Steven's gonna look like in 5 years and in 10 years. I mean, he's obviously gonna marry Connie, like, clear canon.
Yeah, and hundreds of versions of that already exist with Garnet.
They're kissing proper
every
now.
possible future, Steven marries Connie. No ifs, ands, or buts. But, no, I want to see, like, maybe what he decides to do as his career. Maybe he changes careers multiple times. Maybe he's in medicine for a little while. Maybe he, like, is his dad and writes songs. Maybe...
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then, like, hundreds of years pass and everyone he cares about dies and, like, he keeps living forever. Like, I can't wait to see all of that. It'll be...
God.
Or
the Earth is occupied by just billions of pink, immortal, sterile humans.
Wait, they just become sterile? What?
Imagine if they didn't. How could you can't...
They can't keep reproducing forever.
What? No, but what if they aren't? What if Lion has babies?
Are they pink babies? Do they have portals?
Babies?
Like, what are those trees that grow in that freaking weird portal place?
Final thoughts then?
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. Cartoon Network lost a great one with Steven Universe. It's up to Mau Mau, Infinity Train, and Summer Camp Island now.
Oh, man, this was such a long... Like, thinking that this aired in November 2013. Like, this has been probably a significant, like, piece of most people who viewed it. Like, if the target audience is mostly in their 20s and younger, then, like, this has taken up, like, a significant chunk of our lives. It's crazy.
Yeah. My young adulthood was living and breathing Steven Universe. Came out in I started watching in 2015. So, that until now, you know, my burgeoning into adulthood, I hate that word, has been living and breathing Steven Universe. And I'm like, wondering how it's gonna affect me in like 30 years, right? When the memory's not as fresh, but the influence is still there. Like, I wonder what it's gonna be like for like kids, right? Like younger kids who were consistently into Steven Universe and watched it the whole time. Because I think all of us who watched The Last Airbender as it was airing, or at least when we were still very young, like, it changed you in a way. Like, it really kind of set your ideas on what life should be like and what you expect out of shows at the very minimum. So, yeah, it's interesting. I wonder what the future is going to be like for the people who grew up on this show. Not just the fandom of older fans.
Yeah, for me, that's been like one of the more exciting things this entire time. Just for one, the influences of the people who make the show, Sugar's influences, Cordy's influences are just so apparent when you're watching this. They're like a little bit older than me, but like maybe only like 5 years or so. So the first thing that got me into Steven Universe was just people my age, roughly, making a show that is clearly influenced by the things I loved when I was a child, and it was just very exciting, and I felt represented and seen and other corny things. So, like, the influence this is going to have on creators 10 years down the road, or even just kind of immediately, you can kind of see this opening doors for shows like She-Ra. I don't want to, like, kind of overstate how much influence this has had on that, but...
Noelle Stevenson wrote, like, a piece about how the effect Steven Universe paved the way and changed cartoon makers, and how now there's this unspoken question where it's like, yeah, how are we going to incorporate queer people into this? How are we going to incorporate, you know, other peoples into this? And yeah, she definitely said, like, Steven Universe, in no small part, has not only influenced the culture, the cartooning culture that She-Ra was made in, but also the show itself. So, you wouldn't overstate it at all. Like, Noelle Stevenson came out and said directly, like, she owes a lot to the show, which was very touching.
Okay, yeah, that's very cool. And, I mean, if it's happening, like, right now, if we can literally already see the influence of Steven Universe when it ended, like, I mean, even before it ended, then, yeah, when the kids who were watching this when they were growing up are, like, able to create things for themselves, the future of entertainment is very bright, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Disney doesn't buy everything, but...
Right, there's two competing interests. One is this, like, beautiful, growing space of really
like diversity
great creators.
And love.
And then there's Disney and money.
Yeah, oh god.
The House of Mouse.
Oh my god. I mean, everything's a house of money, though. Even, you know, Cartoon Network owns several subsidiaries up as just AT&T monstrosity, but I mean, Disney is much bigger still than any of the other ones.
Well, Cartoon Network is owned by Warner Brothers, right?
I think it now goes all the way up the chain to somewhere
because Warner
in
Brothers
AT&T
is Time
land.
Warner Cable. Time Warner Cable, then Time Warner Cable is like the huge umbrella company, and then it goes to the ISPs, the Warner Productions Studios, Cartoon Network, and then all that.
Yeah. Oh, we never figured out why there was a diamond on the money. There was a diamond on the money. Remember that?
Well, diamonds could also just be very valuable to humans. And
but it's how Ronaldo figured out about the Diamond Authority.
Yeah, but Ronaldo's like the king of taking the wrong path to get to the right answer.
That's true.
Did you have anything else to say, Isabel?
Well, kind of sad it's over, but, it's just what it is, and we'll move on from here.
Oh, I'm not moving on. We're rewatching. We're rewatching. That's the next step, is rewatching, basically future recontextualizing everything. Yeah. No tabs! Oh, man.
If GC's not going to put it in, then I will.
Sing it.
Anyway, guys, that's been us on the finale for Steven Universe Future. We're gonna miss the show. Until next week when we have something else to talk about, though. I'm GC13.
I'm Kent.
I'm Isabel.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm David.
Leave us a review on
iTunes.
iTunes.
Leave us a review on iTunes. Ken! You disappear for 2 years. That is my job.
No.
I'm in the paperwork and everything.
Too slow.
Later, everybody. Our opening and closing music is by Mark Soto. For more cartoon-related content, please visit lunarseaspire.com.
You're about to hear me say something really embarrassing. Mom, I can't right now! I'm recording a podcast! You do have to put, do you guys want to hear something really embarrassing, though? You have to put that at the end.